Good evening, folks. Here we are again. So let's talk about what we do know, okay? We do know now that we have yet another Indiana Fever player with a season-ending injury in Chloe Bibby. It was reported a couple of weeks ago that she had a knee injury. She felt something in her knee. Um, she was out for a few games. They took her off the injured list, but she has not made an appearance, and it was revealed today that she has a knee injury. She will not be back this season, but she is expected to make a full recovery. So the Sports Illustrated cover curse seems to have taken hold. And I made a joke. I've been making jokes about that, but I remember that stuff happening with the Celtics too, and it was kind of funny although it's not funny in essence, okay? Just kind of strange that sometimes urban legend maybe is not urban legend. Um, so, couple things. We have a replacement player for the rest of the season for Chloe Bibby. And here she is. This is Bree Hall. She's been signed to a rest of the season hardship contract. And funny thing is that she was drafted number 20 overall in the 2025 WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. And she did play in that Brazil national team game on May 4th. She scored 9 points and recorded 4 rebounds. She was a 2-time NCAA champion at the University of South Carolina. And she has also played under multiple hardship contracts for the Golden State Valkyries during this season. She's going to be wearing number 3 for the Fever, and she joins the team. As I have said, this is a team being held together by rubber bands and bubble gum, okay? And, I may not like Kelly Crosskoff, and I don't. And I certainly don't think Stephanie White is a great coach. I think she's kind of predictable. And yes, I'm aware of what Alyssa Thomas said. They knew just exactly how to play the Fever because they played for Stephanie White in the past. She played for Stephanie White in the past. So, no, I don't think that Stephanie White is a great coach. And I'm going to say that again. But my concern is not either Stephanie White or Kelly Crosskoff. My concern is supporting a basketball team whose players have played hard and are still managing to be in the mix in spite of everything going against them. Okay? And I don't have any intention of, disrespecting the women of the Indiana Fever just because I don't like Stephanie White and Kelly Crosskoff. I'm not doing that. So I will be watching the game tomorrow night, and I will be hoping that the Indiana Fever wins that game. Okay? I'm watching. Okay? Caitlin Clark is there every single game, cheering her teammates on. So to me, turning your back on the players is I don't know. It's just something I have no intention of doing. If I keep hearing that I'm only here for Caitlin Clark and I don't care about the team and I don't care about Stephanie White. Well, I got some bad news for you. The way I look at things is if you are here for Caitlin Clark and you care about Caitlin Clark, I don't think Caitlin Clark would want you to turn your back on her teammates. That's just my take. But you can do whatever you want because guess what? That's your choice. But we are not doing that here on this channel. Secondly, somebody made the statement today, and I am in total agreement that both Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston have made their case for being all WNBA this year. And I agree with that. They have worked hard. And I'm tired of the dumping that gets heaped on Aaliyah Boston when she has not had the benefit of Caitlin Clark to get her to play her game the right way, that she has played a lot of the season out of position, out of necessity, not out of choice. And I'd hate to see where the Indiana Fever would be without either one of them, because together they are helping to hold this team together. So I believe that that is a very accurate assessment. And then thirdly, I said we were going to talk a little bit about the CBA. So here's a couple of things I want to throw out there to you. Now, this was actually brought up to me by a guy I work with in my other life who is a union rep, and he is a very pro-worker union rep. But he raised a point, and I want to see what you guys think about this. Just like when I asked you who you'd like to see on the Indiana Fever, I'm asking your input on this, because I think some of it is valid. So we have this team called Unrivaled, right? Okay. And players from the WNBA in the offseason play for 8 or 9 weeks with Unrivaled. And he raised an issue to me that once these contract numbers start going up and players are getting paid much higher salaries, like once we get to the $1 million range, their contracts may have a stipulation in there that if they get injured, say playing for Unrivaled and can't play in the WNBA for a period of time, that they forfeit their pay for that time. You know, I think we have to have a reality check here. All right, there are baseball players who have it written into their contracts that they can't do certain things in the off season. Okay, there are other professional sports that require that. So we might want to start thinking about that as a possibility. Once these players start getting paid the big bucks, that if you say tear an ACL, and you can't play for a year, does it negate your WNBA contract? You know, it gets right back to, why do we pay you when you did not injure yourself playing in our league? So I'd like to get your input on that. He also raised the issue. By the way, he works for the U.S. Postal Service. He's a shop steward, so he's like one of the big guys in the union business there. He's not a brass, okay? He's not that guy. He's a workers shop steward. He's really good. Also raised the issue that it seems to me that it would be a conflict of interest to have people like Breanna Stewart, and you guys know I love Stewie. I absolutely do. I love Stewie. I love Sabrina Ionescu. I love them. Okay, love them to bits. Wish they were on the Fever. But it seems to me that players who have been involved in the founding of Unrivaled, negotiating WNBA collective bargaining agreements, may be a conflict of interest. So I'll throw that one out there too. I know during that was raised during the All-Star break too, and I kind of brushed that off, and I don't really know how I feel about that yet. I got to think about it. But the thing about the contracts is compelling, and I'd like to get your input on that. And then in closing, this is an easy one for me. The new banter around the netherworld out there is, why isn't Paige Bueckers as big as Caitlin Clark? I'll make this one easy for you, because she isn't Caitlin Clark. That's my take. We have Caitlin Clark and we have Paige Bueckers. They are not on the same level. Paige Bueckers is a great basketball player. Okay, I give you an above average basketball player. But Paige Bueckers is not a generational talent. She just is not. And what makes Caitlin Clark also at that upper echelon is who she is as a person, and the way she conducts herself, the way she gives back to the community, and the way she treats her teammates. I think there's a gigantic difference between Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark on every level, but certainly on the floor. I don't think that Paige Bueckers is Caitlin Clark. Will she be Caitlin Clark someday? I don't know. I don't know that that's possible. I don't think players like Caitlin Clark come along very frequently. In fact, one NBA player, and I cannot remember his name, this was about 2 months ago. I read it in an interview, said that maybe in 20 years, a lot of players will be playing like Caitlin Clark. That's coming from an NBA player. So we also know that that Tyrese Halliburton, who was an NBA player, had been changing up his game to play more like Caitlin Clark. And so what I say to you is that there are levels. And the reason that Paige Bueckers isn't as big as Caitlin Clark is because she's simply not Caitlin Clark. So you can certainly feel free to weigh in on that one as well if you'd like. But that's where we are tonight. Tomorrow night's big game, Chicago Sky, no Angel Reese. She has been suspended for tomorrow night's game because she received her 8th technical. It's good to see that at least the referees are doing something right every now and then. If they could do this kind of stuff more consistently, maybe we'd have a more evenly called series of games instead of this craziness we see from game to game where some games seem to get completely out of hand. So that's what I've got for tonight. Nothing earth-shattering, but I do want to get your input on a few of those things. So feel free to chime in, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow after the game, okay? Because it's at Cambridge tomorrow night, I believe, and it won't be one of those late night games. If I get a chance to weigh in during the day, I may stop by. We'll see how that goes. But I will definitely see you tomorrow night. Have a great night, folks.